Welcome to the Transformational Podcast. You have the pastor from Paradise, the Marine from Maryland. We are so glad you're joining us, whether
Oh,
you're joining
yeah.
us YouTube, watching us, or you're Spotify, or you're, on your podcast, your Apple Playlist podcasts. That would be great. That's kind of what I do. I don't know about you, Chris, but that's my primary platform. Although I think I'm old because it sounds like everybody's going to YouTube or something else.
Yeah, I'm with you. I typically do the podcast one because I can put it in my pocket, the Apple Podcast one. Put it in my pocket while I work out or set it down while I work out and whatever or what have you. But and I think it's frowned upon to watch it while you drive. And so I just don't do that either. So I know there's probably some of you out there that you venture out there. It's not recommended. It is
Not recommended.
But
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I actually follow us on Spotify and Apple. So I don't know. Sometimes I flip on the Spotify one and keep rolling. I don't know. It depends on the day, Rob.
Yeah, I hear you. We're both spotting the gray skier tonight. I like that. I like that new shirt. I can't really see it, but it's
well,
looks
it's
cool.
actually not new. It's just
Oh,
Gray
it's a Gray
Students
Students?
one. Yeah, it's a Gray
All right.
Students one. It's one I've had.
Is that for when you were doing the students?
No,
or is that,
no,
I was going to say, man, that'd be like.
I do have one. Matter of fact, one of these days I'll wear that one on here and we can talk about it because
Okay.
it is still alive. Alive.
Very cool. Well, we do this podcast. We'll just start off this way. We do this podcast to help you grow in your relationship with the Lord. We take you through our relationship with the Lord, kind of what God's working on us in. The beauty of this walk, this journey, is that it's never done until we're actually there with Jesus. We're fully redeemed now, but we're still growing in grace and what He wants us to be. And frankly, He uses us in that. And so we hope as you listen, that you can take stuff away, that you're encouraged in your faith as you walk out. And then also that you kind of get to know us. That's part of the reason why we talk a little bit at the beginning about some of the fun things that we've got going on in our world. And so, Chris, I'm going to let you start first, and then maybe I'll share, and then maybe we'll transition from there. What do you think?
Just what's going on in the world is last weekend was Easter.
It was.
We recorded on Saturday night after I did 3, and so Sunday morning I did 4, and Sunday night I was put in the gym. I'm just kidding. No, Sunday night after.
Were you tired?
Honestly, I was pumped. I love Easter weekend. I know. I mean, it's a lot, but I don't really feel it to the next day. But one of the things I've discovered is if I can get out in nature and just be out there, it restores me, it refreshes me real fast, which I think is interesting considering Jesus went into the wilderness or went out up away from everyone to be alone, to spend time with God. Now, I didn't go to be alone. Actually, we went to Mom and Dad's place over at Cooper.
Okay.
And I got to, actually, Barrett went with me. Brock wasn't feeling awesome, so he had a little stomach something come up on Saturday. So
I gotcha.
We didn't want to take that with us over there to Cooper, so we.
It's nice of you.
Yeah. So Julie and Brock stayed home, and Barrett and I went over there, and that night, just kind of looked at all the things that going on over at Cooper. It was a good time, but then Mom and Dad are in process of building their dream home. I'm excited for them. It was fun to get to see the progress, man.
Some of the pictures you sent were fantastic.
Oh man, they're exciting.
Very cool.
Very exciting. And then we fished that night before dinner.
Okay.
Mom and Dad made steak that night, so while they were cooking that up or getting that ready to cook, Barry and I went down and fished for a second. He beat me 1-0 that night. But the next morning we got up, went out, and I came back with a vengeance, 9-3. So
you strapped him.
I did. Listen. I was just ripping lip right and left. No, it was a lot of fun. Just being out there. It is just one of those things that, man, it renews me, and so loved it. Helped out with a couple projects. And then headed back. And then actually, Robert, last night, dude, you would have loved this.
What's that?
So in student ministry back in the day, we'd do a in the dark Nerf wars.
Okay, that's fun.
Or lights out Nerf wars, whatever. So Brock, for his birthday, his birthday was a few weeks ago, but to celebrate it, he wanted to invite some friends and do a in the dark. Now, I suggested this because all the other ideas that were coming up sounded like a whipping. All right, let me just be straight. And I was like, what if we did this? And he loved it. So we set up the student building, and it's got 2 large rooms with a narrow hallway in between them, and then you can go out one door and in the other door on the outside. So we treated that like a one-way portal from each team could use to go to the rooms. And played capture the flag in the dark. We blacked out all the windows. Like, it was already late, but we didn't even black it out. And then put some what are those lights? UV lights? No, black lights.
Black
lights up that just made everything glow. Dude, it was a blast, dude. I was so hot after, and that place probably didn't smell awesome after we were done, because that's
smell
a
like
lot
middle,
of yes,
smell like middle school and
boys. Yes,
and Chris.
So but it was a blast, man. So that was my week. What's going on with you? Oh, and actually tomorrow is one of my favorite Sundays. I'll preach on baptism, and there's some who are already lined up to be baptized, but we're going to invite other people to jump on in. So I'm excited about that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'd love to hear about how that goes. We'll talk tomorrow then on that, but not for the podcast. Maybe we'll talk about it next week. On this side of the camera, so to say, kind of one of those busy weeks, but was pretty funny the way this week went, where Monday was a little bit of it was kind of a quiet week. Tuesday was a very stressful day, although I'll be honest, I went into that day not feeling like I was going to be stressed, and kind of having that moment where you're walking close with the Lord, but at the same time, just the events of the day are stressful. So I kind of, went through the end of the day, and I got done, and my watch will predict, or at least track, stress. And it's, it's probably mildly accurate, but it's actually mildly amusing what it says. It'll say, like, that day it said you had no restful moments. And then it said stress consumes your body's resources. And I had to get a laugh because I didn't feel that way.
Yeah.
But I guess that's what it said. But I think when I realized it did happen is on Wednesday. I thought Wednesday was Tuesday. I thought Thursday was Wednesday. And like, I was just having a hard time figuring out what day it was this week, all week. And then whatever happened on Tuesday was, I guess, epic enough in my team that some of my teams were out that day. Some of my team members were out that day. They were on leave or whatever. And they came back on Thursday or Friday. They're like, what happened on Tuesday? And I was like, I didn't think it was that big a deal. I mean, don't get me wrong. My body did.
Yeah.
But it was partly because I just felt like God was walking with me that day. And I felt God was walking with me throughout the week. High trust. We'll talk a little bit about that tonight, because I think that's what God was walking me through this week. And that's part of the reason we do the podcast, is just to talk about our week and what God's teaching us and what God's walking with us in. Before we jump in, I'll tell you this, just one last little data point. Spent a lot of time in the yard. I want to say today, a little bit last week, but today, and super pumped with the way that the yard is coming together. I have fruit trees. The fruit trees are just loaded with fruit. I'm going to have to probably thin some of the fruit. It's just so much fruit.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. The peach trees are nuts. I have 4 of those, 4 plum trees. I got a couple pear trees, about 5 apple trees, and then some grapevines. And the grapevines are kicking out leaves. But the way that works with grapevines, have you ever seen a grapevine before? It kicks out.
We played that game before. Like, it's kind of like telephone, where you say something to someone, you heard it through the grapevine. No, is that not the same thing?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
But I like where you went with that side joke there. It was good. It was good. I didn't even see that coming. So good. Oh,
do you even know where you were now?
I'm trying to get back to it.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. The cordons, which is what kicks out the leaves and the grapes, the way they bud is they bud with some leaves, and then they bud with what would be the grape cluster just in baby form. And so that's the kind of the moment, like whether it's going to be a good year or not a great year. And I'm telling you right now, it looks like it's going to be a good year.
That's awesome.
For it. Yeah, it's pretty cool. The blueberry bushes are just loaded down with blueberries.
Dude, I kind of a little envious because last weekend went to mom and dad's. I got these great strawberry patches, dude. I just ate them straight out of the strawberry patch. However, they're a little gritty because the rain bounces a little sand up on them. But then brought home a ton and ate them all. And here you are. So we talked about getting a garden and stuff like that going, but it just didn't make the priority list this year because so many other projects. But as you talk about it, sounds awesome. Wish we were close enough so I could just mooch off your
you should
garden.
come and bum off of it. You know, that's actually the thing. As I was working out there today, I was praising the Lord as I was doing, and even as I was sitting on the front porch and kind of the day was done, and we have a little bit of rain in the area, only enough to make it kind of cool and windy. Mm-hmm. So no real rain where we were at. And I was just thanking the Lord because a year ago, because I was going into the next job and I was going to be gone most of the time, I didn't do anything but mow the lawn really. And so just didn't have time. Right.
Right.
And I'm just very grateful that I was able to come back, spend some time on the lawn. I feel like, to you, kind of your point, what you said is that that ability to get out in nature.
Yeah.
It really does kind of unpack all this stuff. And I felt like that really unpacked this week for me.
And I have a theory that part of it's getting back to the garden, right?
Yeah.
Like the first thing God told us to do was to care for creation, right?
Yeah, I know, right?
And
I think the further
there's part of me that I just love getting out there. Like today, I spent a lot of time. We had a lot of rain this week. I just put down fertilizer. So the good news is I put down fertilizer right before the rain. Bad news is I put down fertilizer right before the rain. And it rained a lot, and the grass grew like wild. And so today it took forever to mow because it just kicked up real long. And today, honestly, it's not like I couldn't get to it. It's like today was the first day that it wasn't too wet to mow.
Yeah.
I'll
have to tell you my trick for how I got my push mower to work today. It was having some what do you call it? Some carb issues.
Yeah,
like beginning of the year carb issues, and I just couldn't get it to start last week. I got it to start today, but I have a trick, so I'll have to tell you after the podcast. People can ask. Anyway, so I think you're right. I think, and I was reflecting on it as well, that some people are like, oh, grounding and all this stuff, and I don't know what that is. I've never read up on it.
I know what it is. I can tell you more later.
Yeah, I don't know.
I actually think there's something to it, but anyway.
I don't know, but what I do know is I think being in God's creation is where he designed us to be. And the further we get pulled away from that, the more we lose appreciation for what he's just doing just in the world around us. Right.
Right.
So anyway, and
hey,
yeah, go ahead.
I will say one other thing, a book I want to recommend. We talk a lot about hearing from God. As I was mowing today, I started listening to a book that was recommended to me this last week called 2 Chairs by I'm sorry, not Bo. First name's Bob. Last name's Beaudine.
Beaudine.
Yeah, Beaudine.
All right, I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, I listened to it on my Audible as I was mowing today. It's fantastic. It's very practical. It's something I would recommend checking it out, listening to it, reading it, whatever. But it goes very much along with what we talk about. And it was a good reminder encouragement. I wasn't even like I forgot it. It was just, I don't know. I was fired up as I was listening to it. I was like, let's do this. So
no, I was sitting.
It was good.
Yeah, I get it. I was even sitting on the front porch at the end of the day, and I was just sitting there. I just closed my eyes, and I imagined myself sitting with the Father.
Yeah, that's really the essence of this book.
So, oh, really?
So, yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, that's pretty cool.
You should check it out. I think
I'm definitely going to read it.
Enjoy.
I'll probably enjoy it.
We need to dive in, man. I thought
sorry.
Last week's length was good. I don't know how other people feel, but I enjoyed. I mean, the length of last week. Not that the other weeks are not whatever, but
it just we'll go with the way the Lord's leading.
Yeah.
Hey, so one of the things God's been running me through this week is he's been running me through with trust, and kind of what precipitated is got to my oldest is basically finishing up college here pretty soon, and the rest, and she's got looking, at the kind of the transition time frame. And, as a parent, you have this ability with the kids that are in your house to, I don't know, say lay hands on them, you can be more
past
involved.
That phase, man.
Yeah, you can be more
phase.
involved.
Yeah.
And I'm not that involved even with my oldest. As they get older, I try to be a little more hands off so they have an opportunity to learn as they get older, but in more of an environment where they have the thing. Well, now that I got one out of the house and she's thinking about what's next, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, God was like, all right, hey, it's time to learn, like trust exercise, trust fall. And he started the week off in Psalms that where it really kind of hit me. It was like on this Sunday, I was like, all right, Lord, I really need to learn to trust you with this, because I feel like I'm pulling it in to control it. And so what did this week's short study? I have 2 studies I look at. I have my daily reader, and I have the short study. This week's was about trusting God.
Yeah.
It's like,
what is that, Lord? What is that short study? Which one is it?
It's First 15.
Okay, First 15. Is that on First 15, the Bible app, or is it okay?
No, it's just its own app.
It's own app.
First 15. Yep. So what I'll do is I'll
put that in the show notes. That way others can find that, because that sounds great for a lot of people. I think those things like that are really good for people just to get started.
Yeah. It is great because it's supposed to be 15 minutes. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's more like 20. Just depends on if you do the whole thing. This week it was Psalms 9. It was about trust, but Psalms 9 is what really hit hard. And it was Psalms 9, verse 10. It says, those who know your name trust in you. For you, Lord, have never forsaken those who seek you. And I was wrestling with something at the beginning of the week, where I was seeking him on something and I didn't feel like he was responding. I felt like, I was not hearing from him, and God was reminding me, and even right now he reminds me of this idea that, like, hey, some of the prophets who went to go get a message from the Lord waited 7 days before they even got a message, right?
Yeah,
they're like,
right.
I'll bring a message back, go away for 7 days and come back. Some of them 3 days, right? And so I was thinking about it, and it was this moment where he says, hey, those who know your name trust in you, for you, Lord, have never forsaken those who seek you. And so then I think it was almost the exact same day, and this is where the two were tying in, and God was teaching me some stuff, is he had me in Luke. Yep, Luke 12. Luke 12, verse 6. And it's Jesus, and he's talking to crowds. Yeah, he's talking to these crowds. He just got done insulting the Pharisees and the teachers of the law. Mm-hmm. And it is a pretty funny moment, because he insults the Pharisees because he didn't wash his hands. And they're like, hey, you didn't wash your hands. And he's like, hey, me washing my hands has nothing to do with me being clean. What's inside my heart is what makes me clean. And he kind of like, more or less chastises them for their show of cleanliness when they don't have any internal cleanliness. And it was at that moment the teachers of the law go, hey, you are insulting us at the same time. And Jesus looks at him and he says, yes, I am.
Yeah.
And then proceeds to chastise them for continuing to heap, law on the people, but not removing any of the burdens. And then he kind of goes through, the crowds are around, and he's telling them, hey, beware of the Pharisees and their hypocrisy. But it's this one verse that stuck out based on this whole, we'll call it this journey of trust, is verse 6. It says, what is the price of 5 sparrows? And he answers his own question, which I do love that. What is the price of 5 sparrows? 2 copper coins? Yet God does not forget a single one of them. And the very hairs on your head are all numbered. So don't be afraid. You are more valuable to God than a whole flock of sparrows. And it was kind of like a moment where God was saying, hey, I am in control. Mm-hmm. I will not forsake you. And I think that's why, I think this all kind of culminated on Tuesday. And while it was, like I said, I think the Lord's teaching me about trusting him with my kids, especially my out of the house kids, because that's hard. I'm just telling you, it's hard. If you just wait, It's hard. If you have got your kids in, if you got your kids out, you know what I'm talking about. You're way ahead of me. I'm learning. I haven't figured it out yet. So we'll talk about it. But it was because of those two verses, not just that when I went through that really, stress consumes your body's resources. I didn't really feel it in my spirit because I felt that the Lord wasn't going to forsake me. Kind of had it under control. Right. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. I love the concept because really, you can say that you trust God, but it's only in those moments that you discover whether you truly trust God or not.
Yeah.
Because trust it's easy to. I think back to the days. Do you remember when I worked at Piney Woods? Did you know I worked at Piney Woods?
Yeah. Okay. I remember. I mean, don't get me wrong. I didn't know you worked at Piney Woods till well after, because it was like one of those conversations. I was like, wait, what'd you do?
Yeah. I think you were going to Naval Academy that summer.
Yep.
So I was working at Piney Woods all summer. I don't remember now. Maybe it was between my sophomore and junior year of high school, which was a camp. It has a ropes course, right? And so, dude, you harness people up. You show them the rope. The rope can hold this much weight. All this kind of stuff. On the ground, everybody trusts the harness. On the ground, everybody trusts the rope. On the ground, everybody trusts the carabiners. I mean, they trust you to be able to hold them and catch them. You know where you really figure out who trusts what?
When they jump.
When they're up in the air, right? When they jump, or when they take that first step of uncertainty, there it is, right? It's when you begin to step into uncertainty that you can't control. You no longer have control of the outcome, that you discover if you truly trust or not. Do you truly trust God's way, or do you trust God to help make your way work? Like there's one's real trust, one is trust in self. And you're just asking God to join you in your journey. Whereas the other says, all right, God, I get it. You're calling me to trust you with this. I have no control. I have no way to influence the outcome, but you absolutely do. So now's the time for me to take that step into uncertainty. And Robert, when you trust, you're able to step into that uncertainty with peace.
Yeah.
Now, here's what's really interesting. That summer, I was in the air a bunch, right? On harnesses, different things. Yeah. The longer the summer went, the easier it was to get up there and rig stuff, the easier it was to get up into position to whatever. You know why?
Go ahead, tell me.
Because I had experience trusting those who were belaying me. I had experience trusting the rope and the harness. The more experience trusting, the less stressful it was. Because I knew, all right, if I slip, if I fall off, this will catch me. I'm fine. And you become comfortable in that uncertainty. And I think really that's that picture of the trust that the Father wants, is to become comfortable in our trust that, hey, he's got this.
Yeah. And I think that's what he was walking me through. It's funny. I was just reading kind of what I wrote, and it's funny because I've spent a lot of time doing the, up in the ropes, so to say, with him in my job.
Yeah.
Right. On Monday, which is the day prior to it, I wrote, as I step into a new week, I'm praying that the Lord will go before me and I can bring glory to his name. Father, you are good, and I am thankful for your leadership and love in my life as I lead others. Help me to keep my eyes on you. That was how I started my Monday. It was the end of a very long writing. I don't normally write an entire page, but apparently I did that day. Anyway, the next day, which is Tuesday, right? It's funny. I was talking about, and I won't read the specifics on this one, but I was talking about how I was learning to trust God with my kids. And the thing that he was walking me through is, hey, you seem to trust me in all these other areas. You trust me with your work. You clearly, you know that I'm going to come through for you. You know that I won't forsake you. You trust me in, your church activities. You trust me with your family at home. But he was like, almost like, hey, but I want to ask you a question. Do you trust me with your kid that doesn't live at home?
Yeah.
And I was, it was one of those moments I'll be honest, I was like, I needed more time in the air. Does it make sense? I needed more time up in the ropes.
Yeah.
And I think he gave me some time in the ropes this week, if I would be honest with you. I trust him more than I did it last Sunday. But I'm still learning. I'm still, struggling. I'm still having those real conversations where you sit down and you're like, Lord, I've been praying about this thing for a while now, and I am not seeing it. Like, I need you to help me understand. I need you to help me get me there.
Yeah.
And the thing, it was another one that came this week was in Luke 11:11.
Yeah.
And this is kind of what I was talking about. It was this. I think that's actually what kicked off the week, because that was before the Luke 12 one.
Mm-hmm.
But this is kind of part of what kicked off the week of me thinking about my oldest. Is it talks about fathers, and he was talking about how we'll start in verse 9. And then maybe God will give you something as we go into verse 9 here. It says, and so I tell you, keep on asking and you will receive what you ask for. Keep on seeking, you will find. Keep on knocking, the door will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, everyone who seeks finds, and to everyone who knocks, the door will be open. You fathers, if your children ask for a fish, do you give them a snake instead? Or if they ask for an egg, do you give them a scorpion? Of course not. So if you sinful people know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your heavenly Father give the Holy Spirit to those who ask him?
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of considering that aspect, because I was worrying as a father about a child, and it really just it resonated on this thing of like, hey, like God has good gifts. He has these. He is willing to pour out his Holy Spirit on you, and he's not going to forsake you. And go back to Psalms 9. What was the other one? He's a stronghold in times of trouble. And so anyway, I think that's what the Lord's been kind of walking me through this week.
So I think that's interesting. He's a stronghold in times of trouble. Because here's the deal: we pray for no times of trouble, right? Right,
dude, speak it. Yes.
So the trust isn't just that he'll keep you out of times of trouble. The trust is that in the times of trouble, he'll be your stronghold. Mm-hmm. That he'll be your refuge. That, because typically, and if you go back to that Luke 11:11, just before that, he talks about he's actually teaching on prayer and says, you go to a friend's house wanting some bread, say to him, hey, whatever. Yes. He calls out from his bedroom and says, don't bother me, I'm already down for the night. And he says, well, but if you keep knocking long enough,
yeah, right.
If you keep bugging it, he'll get up and give you whatever you need because of your shameless persistence, right? It's what the word it says in NLT. Mm-hmm. And he says, so I tell you, keep asking. Robert, I think far too often we give up far too early. We have a moment of desperation and an emotional moment, but once that emotion's gone and that moment's gone, we stop prayer, or we give up and concede that, well, maybe it's just not going to happen. Instead of, and remember, I think sometimes my prayer has changed when I feel like I've been praying this. All right, Father, what do you want me to pray about this situation? God, what is it that you want me? Because I mean, I clearly have. I go back to Jesus' prayer, not my will, but your will be done. He said, if there's any way, God, this is what I want to happen. But if not, your will be done. I wish that this cup would pass from me, is what he says. I think at the same time, that's that whole trust deal, is that God, if I have to go through the troubled time, the tough times, if I have to endure this, I know I won't endure it alone because you are my refuge. That even when the storms come and the struggles come, that I can have peace. I don't have to be stressed out because I know that you're with me.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. And I think there's probably somebody listening tonight, because it's me, by the way, it's me listening probably, later on this week. And they're like, yeah, but I don't think you get it, Chris. I don't think you get it. I've been praying about this for like 3 or 4 years. I've been praying about this for like a decade.
Yeah.
And I'm not seeing any movement on it. I'm not seeing God come through on it. I don't see the stronghold that you're talking about. I do feel forsaken. I feel like he has abandoned me. Mm-hmm. And I know that you're listening right now, and that's probably you. And here's the thing that I want you to grab onto that Chris was just talking about, because it did resonate when you said it to me, even, is this idea of changing the way you pray for it. intentionally pray for it. Pray for it in the sense of, God, what do you want me to pray about this? What do you want me to ask for? What is it that I'm not asking for, that you want to give me, but you want me to get my eyes centered and focused on you? How am I not walking in alignment with you on this one? Yeah. And so sometimes that feels weird because you may be praying for something that is probably good. It's probably very good, in fact. Yeah. But maybe there's and I'm watching this play out personally live. There's something else that the Lord's trying to work on, and he's dealing with something, and you may not see it because that's okay. But what he may be doing, he's dealing with it because he's taking you up into the ropes. Yeah. And I think that is a great, I don't know, how you always come up with these great examples, but it's probably just because you're a pastor and this is like the way your brain,
I truly believe
the way your brain works.
God just gives me these pictures sometimes. I'm a picture guy. I'm a vision guy. So he gives me these pictures. Robert, can I tell you a couple examples of these prayers that feel like they're not happening? One is I've got 2 alarms that God, and actually this is something God reminded me of just the last couple of weeks. I got 2 alarms on my phone, one at 1:08 in the afternoon, and one at 5:00 every afternoon. One was from 2 years ago when we did our Uncharted campaign. And I said, man, I preached on Acts 1:8 that, be witnesses, Judea, Samaria, to the ends of the earth. I said, man, we're going to pray that God is moving. He's doing a work here. And we're going to ask that God would provide all that we need to provide all the space we need to be his witness here, to be his witness, to carry out his ministry here at Grace, to whoever he brings to our place. And we're praying that he provides in a way it's debt free. So I ask everybody to join me in that. Yeah. And last year I just said 5:00, same kind of prayer. God, we provide all the space we need to minister all the people you're bringing here, that would be debt free as we move in. Mm-hmm. Well, Robert, he hasn't answered that prayer yet. And I was frustrated with it. And I was like, it started getting where my alarm's going off and I'm not stopping to pray anymore. And I just had a convicted moment of, oh, do you not think that I can still do this? Did you give up? oh, okay. And it's just a deal of going, God, I trust you whether you do or not. But I'm going to remain persistent to ask you to do this. Now, the other one, and Robert, this last week, my wife, let me back this up. Over 60 days ago, my wife met with a wellness company that I would say holistic type medicine. The guy who started it was an MD that, learned a bunch of stuff. Yeah. And now he has this other line. And they deal also, it's called Veritas Wellness. Fantastic organization. Go check it out. But they just look at other things. And God has allowed that ministry to, or that practice to help people find solutions that regular medicine has not found. And people say, well, you just have to live with this. Well, so Julie met with them. They said, no, we absolutely think we can help. Now, mind you, Julie's had some different health issues. No need to get into specifics, but for over 10 years, for a while, I've been praying, God, heal my wife, God, heal my wife, God, heal my wife. Like this. And honestly, things just look like they kept getting worse, right?
Went the wrong way, yeah.
Till a couple of years ago, and then God began to show us some things in the spiritual realm. We've talked about this in one of the earlier podcasts. Mm-hmm. You can go check it out. But she started down this path with this group, all right?
Yeah.
This past week, we're coming to the end of the 60 days of this eating plan that's supposed to help her body heal. And she was so excited. And she started sharing with me after the consult. And Robert, it is the best blood panel she has ever had since we've been on this journey.
Praise the Lord, right?
And I just say that because we can say, well, it's because of the food, this, whatever. No. It's because of what God is doing. Could it be this food journey? Yeah, it could be part of that. But how did we get there? Because God directed our steps to there. But 100%. At the same time, He also is the healer of our body. And if we just lean into what He leads us to do, sometimes, right? And I'm not saying this is the prescription for everybody, but I am saying, we're seeing change. But Robert, I started tearing up, not because of the blood panel, but because I knew that God, for over 10 years, I've been praying for my wife and her health. And man, I just knew in that moment, hey, here
one
it
of
is.
those moments.
And I hope that this is just an encouragement to somebody out there who you go, man, I tried and I prayed for a while and just nothing happened, nothing changed. I'm just telling you, the same happened for me. And I felt like things were just getting worse. And of course, my mind took everything to the worst. And
yeah, I'm the same way.
And so God had to change that in me. But that being said, just like that scripture says, part of trusting God is that you don't give up when you don't see it happening, that you keep trusting, you keep praying, you keep asking, you keep knocking. Because here's the deal. He cares more about you than the sparrows that cost 2 cents, right? Or whatever.
I know.
He costs more about you. And so he's not going to let you down. He's not going to forsake you. And even when you have to go through tough times, he will be your strong refuge.
Absolutely.
And you can have peace.
Yeah. So if we are going to land the plane here. So if you're sitting there, what we hope that you can walk alongside us on this one is to know that, while we have areas maybe of strong trust, in some areas, the Lord's still working on us in a couple other areas. Me specifically, he's working on me in this one area that he's been very articulate. I won't read you the specifics of my journal because it's none of your business.
Oh, gee, Robert. Just kidding.
But I can tell you that I didn't even realize that I needed that journey this week. I didn't even realize that I needed that, as you called it, that experience of trusting, so that it's less stressful when I do trust. And I like the way you looked at it when you said, and it's going to probably change the way I even look at it this week, frankly, Chris, is this idea of, have I been praying for the right thing?
Yeah.
I am praying for something good. There's no doubt about it. But am I praying for what the Lord wants to accomplish? And that's the real kind of question piece of it that I'll ask myself. And then obviously I've always seen the Lord as my stronghold. And I do think I give up sometimes, as you said, far too early. To recap. So if you're listening, don't give up. Get your eyes on him. Ask him, hey, how do you want me to pray differently? What is it? Do I need to hang in there a little bit longer? Do I need to trust the rope? It was easy on the ground when I didn't need to trust the rope. But do I need to trust the rope right now? Because you've got me in a moment of call it high trust, a high trust moment. And we are praying for you before we even start the podcast that the Lord is walking closer with you and drawing you deeper into a relationship with him. And so we trust that the Lord is, as you listen to this, is already strengthening that trust in you. And so that is my encouragement, that he's for you. He loves you. He is walking with you. How would you finish this off?
Man, if you're struggling to trust God, the only way to grow that trust is to lean into the rope and step into the uncertainty and just spend some moment with them. I think about it, and I'll wrap with this. Sometimes when people are climbing the rock wall, we'll tell them, hey, once you get they're struggling to go. I was like, hey, once you get a quick rest, you tighten the rope and let them sit into the rope for just a minute and let their legs and their hands rest for just a minute. Hey, I think that our Father is constantly telling us, "Hey, why don't you lean into the rope a little bit? I got you. You don't have to do this on your own. And if you'll learn to lean into that rope, spend that time with him, you'll find that he will rejuvenate you. He will be your stronghold in the storm."
Amen.